The Miami Heat are reportedly considering waiving Kyle Lowry if they can't find a trade destination for them. And this has led some people to ask, could the Chicago Bulls look to reunite DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry? We'll talk about all that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host here, Haize. You can follow this channel right off the top at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform as well as YouTube. But let's go ahead and get into the content for tonight. As this evening episode, we're back to posting once in the morning, once at night. But Kyle Lowry is the main topic of discussion. Now, everybody knows that the Chicago Bulls need a point guard. So anytime any point guard option comes available, some Bulls fans tend to point and look at that point guard prospect as someone that the Bulls could potentially go after and try to sign to fill their vacant point guard hole. Now, when it comes to Kyle Lowry, you guys know, I try to talk about everything from both sides. One of the things that I try to do with this show is make sure that I always try to present things from both sides of the spectrum. Now, I want to make this clear. We had a point guard in Patrick Beverley, who's probably not a top 20 point guard in this league, drastically helped the Chicago Bulls by their ability to facilitate, run an offense, and not back down from Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan. Now, Kyle Lowry is a veteran point guard. The familiarity with DeMar DeRozan is probably the only reason why this is even a conversation, right? Now, Kyle Lowry, to his credit last season, averaged 11 points per game, 4.1 rebounds, 5.1 assists on 40% overall shooting from the field. When you also look at his three-point shooting, 35.4%. And in the playoffs, Kyle Lowry shot the three-point ball even better at 37.5%. Now, he averaged less than 9.2 points per game, and we already know that, that playoff run was basically Jimmy Butler, Max Strus, and just everybody, and Gabe Vincent, like those type of players just playing amazingly. Not to say that Kyle Lowry didn't have his moments. He had his moments as well, and even with his advanced age, Kyle Lowry still did some things. He can still be a decent point guard for some teams. Now, what I feel on this, right, in looking outside, there is no way in absolute hell the Chicago Bulls should look at Kyle Lowry, in my opinion. In my opinion, right? And again, that's not to say that he's a terrible point guard. Damn, I said that like Charles Barkley. That's bad. That's a bad look. But he is in no way a terrible point guard. But when you look at the things that we need from the point guard position, defense. Kyle Lowry's defense last season, he had a defensive rating of 114. 114. Now, last season before that, he had a defensive rating of 110. The season prior to that, it was 114 again. Now, this is after having a bunch of seasons of around 107, right? And his career defensive rating is 108, which isn't terrible. Average defensive rating is 110. Anything lower than that is above average. Keep in mind, defensive rating, the lower number is the better, right? Kyle Lowry is not a defender at all by any stretch of the imagination. Now, you want to look at facilitating. We need a facilitator at the point guard position. 5.1 assists for Kyle Lowry last season, which was the lowest since 2008 that he had, right? So, again, not too good there either, right? But when you look at the turnover rate for him, almost 2 turnovers per game. Kyle Lowry is not that guy. I've said the same thing about Derrick Rose. Now, again, I like to try to present it from both sides. At the end of the day, Kyle Lowry is somebody who can still come out and give you something. He played 55 games last season, albeit out of shape, some other things going on with him. It is what it is there. But when I look at Kyle Lowry and I look at what he ends up presenting potentially for the Chicago Bulls, like at a veteran minimum, right? Could be, right? And one of the things that I have to hold myself accountable for is I am very against the Bulls signing Derrick Rose. Now, Kyle Lowry, unlike Derrick Rose, is somebody who still plays at the NBA level, still puts in a lot of minutes, and still has moments of being productive. But even then, right, Kyle Lowry would not be in my top probably 15 prospects for the Chicago Bulls, even if he did hit the open market. Keep in mind, what I'm saying here is not trade for Kyle Lowry. No, you give up no assets for Kyle Lowry at all. But if he is waived by the Chicago Bulls, and there are going to be those natural rumors of him and DeMar DeRozan possibly reuniting, nah, bruh, not here in Chicago. I'm not for it. I don't like it. And like I said, I don't mean to judge these guys too harshly. Kyle Lowry, 55 games, 44 of those being starts last season. There's something to be said about a player who's been in the league as long as him, 37 years old, still giving that. But no, at this point, I'd rather bring back Patrick Beverley, right? I'd much rather bring back Patrick Beverley than give Kyle Lowry a shot. And overall, too, I want to be clear, Kyle Lowry, if he does hit the open market, is more than likely going to be looking to join a contender and maybe try to get a title in before he retires, right? And I don't know if the Bulls will be on his market, but let's say he does hit the open market. And let's say DeMar DeRozan does talk to Kyle Lowry. Here's what I'll say. If the Bulls were to sign Kyle Lowry at a veteran minimum, not to necessarily bring him in as a starting point guard, put Kobe as a starter, have Kyle Lowry there as the veteran presence, whatever, you better goddamn well go out and get all the three-point shooting that you can possibly get for your mid-level exception. I'm not big on it. I'm not too high on it. Again, I know we don't need a ton of a lot at the point guard position. I know everybody has these lists of names that they want. Realistically, what we need at the point guard position is somebody who can defend well enough, who can distribute the ball, and who can shoot the three-point shot. Kyle Lowry does some of those things, albeit not maybe at the level that we would want. He can shoot the three ball, still career 36% three-point shooter, right? He can do that a little bit. He can facilitate some, career 6.3 assists per game guy. But that defensive rating has gotten worse and worse, and he's never really been an amazing defender either. And even though he is a veteran that probably would not back down, who could probably run Billy Donovan's bubblegum offense, I'm just good on Kyle Lowry. And I'm good on reuniting him and DeMar DeRozan. I'm good on that. We saw that. They couldn't accomplish anything together, right? Outside of some Eastern Conference Finals. You think now they couldn't do it at 20s? You think now in their mid-30s, they're the guys to do it for the Bulls? I'm good on that, y'all. But you guys can let me know what you guys think on all that down below. Again, I'm not the guy to be sold on this. Maybe some of you guys are, but hey, it is what it is. Make sure you're following the show at Bull Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullcentralpod@gmail.com. And lastly, we'll leave a text message and our voicemail. The number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related because of you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See Red if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.